when the UK Independence Party was founded, the idea that there was an emerging political union based in Brussels that would threaten our rights, our liberties and our freedoms was something that very few British people understood. It would be fair to say that UKIP and what UKIP stood for really was a minority sport. And yet, we now see that 2/3 of the British people want us to change our relationship with the European Union. Indeed, we see on that BBC poll the other week on the Daily Politics, the Andrew Neil programme, that 55% of people want Britain to leave the European Union, but to maintain close trading links. And therefore, I can stand here today before you, hand on heart, and say that I represent a political party going into these European elections in 6 weeks' time that represents the majority view of the voters of this country, and I'm thrilled with that. And the reason for that is that 10 years ago, in the European elections of 1999, we got the first UKIP elected representatives, and we have tirelessly, over the course of the last 10 years, gone around the country, gone on radio and television programmes, and made these arguments. We have been the only people in the country making these arguments, and I put it to you that the reason we now have a majority in this country, and the reason that changing our relationship with the European Union to one where we have friendship, free trade, cooperation, but we say no to political union, is because it's the UK Independence Party alone that has made this a respectable, mainstream political opinion, and you should all be very proud of yourselves indeed. That's what the people think, but the politicians are not listening, are they? The Labour Party, elected in 2005, promising us a referendum on the constitutional treaty, and then denying it to us. And when I challenged Mr Brown, as you just saw a few moments ago on this point, he didn't even have the courage to respond to me. He just sat there, didn't he? Like a grinning idiot. I've no doubt some people ask me to apologise for that comment, but in Jeremy Clarkson mode, I shall. And what about the Liberal Democrats? The Liberal Democrats were elected in 2005 with a specific manifesto pledge saying they would vote in the Commons and the Lords to give the British people a referendum on that constitutional treaty, and they too voted against there being that referendum. And now we see Graham Watson, the Lib Dem leader in the European Parliament, calling loudly and clearly on that day when Brown was in Strasbourg for Britain to join the Euro immediately. So the Lib Dems aren't listening to anybody. And then, of course, we have Her Majesty's loyal opposition. Although I suggest that you need a fairly strong magnifying glass to work out what the differences in policy are between them and the Labour Party on virtually everything. The fact is that the Conservative Party under Cameron is utterly committed to membership of the European Union. In fact, so much so, they want a bigger and stronger European Union. It is official Conservative Party policy that Turkey should be encouraged to join the EU as soon as possible. Now, I know there's an election coming up, and I know we'll hear some Eurosceptic noises from the Conservatives, but the truth of it is they have failed to make any commitment whatsoever to giving the British people a referendum on that treaty. If Cameron really was Eurosceptic, if he really believed in this country, he would stand up today and he would say that he refuses to recognise the legitimacy of a treaty that was pushed through the House of Commons without the British people being given a referendum. That is what he would say, but he won't do it. And that's because the Conservatives' Euroscepticism is skin deep. A point, I think, that has been recognised by Stuart Wheeler, and Stuart, we are delighted to have you supporting us in this campaign. The gap between what the people want and what our professional career politicians want has never been wider. And that is why UKIP has got to go out there and fight in this campaign and point out to people that what we're fighting here is a European election. The issue of Europe will be discussed. It'll be fought on the basis of proportional representation, meaning that the argument that a UKIP vote is a wasted vote holds no traction whatsoever. And we're fighting a campaign in which we've got to say to people from all political parties and none that this is a time to vote on the issues. This is an opportunity to vote for what you believe in. This is a time to cast aside any traditional, tribal party loyalties that you may have. This is a time to put country before party. We must ask we must urge the British people, we must say to them, go out on June the 4th and lend us your vote. And if enough of you do it, we'll be able to send to our political class in Westminster a message that is so loud and so clear that it won't be able to be ignored. That's our task over the course of the next 6 weeks. And we'll campaign on the issues that affect the lives of everyday people. We simply, and especially in the depths of a recession, cannot afford the cost of European Union membership. I mean, most people out there still don't know that we're paying a membership fee to this club of £40 million a day. I mean, test this out. Whether you go to the golf club or whether you visit the pubs of England as I do, or whatever you choose to do. But test this out, and people will look at you with incredulity. So make it clear to them, we are paying a lot of money to be part of this. And when we get involved in the deeper arguments, we'll use the expert, superb analysis of the taxpayer's allowance, which shows that if you add up the cost of all the regulations, the total cost, not just contribution of EU membership, is coming out to something like £2,000 per annum for every man, woman and child in this country. So we'll campaign hard on the cost of the EU. I think it's absolutely wonderful that we've got the European Union's former chief accountant, the lady that was sacked by Neil Kinnock. I think the fact that Martha Andreasen is one of our leading candidates and is saying to people, vote for me, send me to Brussels and Strasbourg, and I will report back to the British people where their £40 billion a day is going, shows you how this party is moving forwards, how this party has changed, and how we now have a much bigger, broader appeal to the British electorate than we've had at any time before in our history. I'm delighted, Martha, that you've joined us, and I think you'll make for us a quite superb member of the European Parliament. There is no issue that has affected the lives of people and made people as angry as the question over the last 5 to 10 years of immigration and open borders in this country. It is something that is treated by the three big parties as being a secret. We must let the truth out. The cat must not come out of the bag. The people must not know and must not understand that as members of the European Union, we are incapable of making the decision of who should come to live, work and settle in this country. And we have got to put this absolutely at the centre of our campaign. You know, we were the only party, back in 2003, we were the only British political party to vote against an open door to the whole of Eastern Europe. At the time, you'll remember, the government said it would lead to an extra 13,000 people a year. That was when David Blunkett was Home Secretary, though I suspect his social life may have put him somewhat off track. And it's not going to go away. Just this week, President Băsescu, you've all heard of him, haven't you? Well, he's the President of Romania. And just this week, he has granted 1 million passports to people from Moldova. Moldova is the poorest country in Europe. Over half the population earns less than £1 a day. But the Romanians have granted 1 million of them new passports. That means that if they want to, those 1 million Moldovans can come straight to Great Britain. Because being part of the European Union means that you have the unrestricted, free movement of peoples. And the message that we've got to take out to the British public in this campaign is that this is totally and wholly unacceptable. The only people that should decide Who comes to live, work and settle in this country are the British people themselves through their own elected parliament, whom they have the ability to hire and fire.
To find out more about who we are and what we stand for, go to the UK Independence Party website at www.ukip.org.